It's time.
On his way.
There's another one? Yeah. There's kind of another guy coming. Hi, guys. Want to have a seat? We'll chat a little bit and see how things are going. Your day here so far.
What do you mean, how's it going? I'm in the Hall of Fame. I get to join my buddies here with Ray, and I know Rick's around the corner there, but
he's selling the car.
To join these guys. We were talking about this last time, but if you think about this. Well, actually,
there he is, NASCAR Hall of Famer, Rick Hendrick.
But I mean, just to go 2 years ago, Rick going into the Hall of Fame, then last year Ray, and then myself. I think it just tells you that era when we were together and what we did as a group, as a team. That you don't know whether that's going to be worthy of Hall of Fame or not. But those are some pretty darn good years, I must say. And so it's a real honor to follow these two into the Hall.
Well, it's synonymous when you think Hendrick, you think Gordon, you think Evernham, you think as a trio, right? I mean, Mr. H, how proud are you right now, not only to have Ray, but obviously now Jeff Gordon as part of this class?
Well, they got me in. It's really special to be able to celebrate with them and to be in the Hall of Fame with them. It is so special as we walked through today and looked at some of the old uniforms and trophies from the very beginning. So it's really been cool.
Well, Ray, here he is. He's a Hall of Famer now, and obviously you had everything in the world to be a part of this too. And how proud are you of this moment?
I'll tell you, I was just lucky enough, thank God every day, what a blessing just to meet these guys and be part of that. But, I'm so proud of Mr. Hendrick and Jeff, and not only what Jeff has accomplished on the racetrack, but, on a special night last night, making Mr. Hendrick, myself, and the team feel such a special part of it. It's been a great ride, and the thing that I think I'm most thankful for is when we were doing that, we were all working pretty hard. We were pretty busy. Jeff and I were racing really hard, and unfortunately we were working Mr. Hendrick hard because he was paying for all the stuff we were tearing up and didn't use enough. And we didn't get a lot of chance to really reflect on it, and we have been so fortunate to be able to reflect later on in our careers and really look back and enjoy what we accomplished. And watching the films, watching Jeff go in and watch Mr. Hendrick going in and going in myself last year, it's just it brings back such great memories.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna put my my TV analyst hat on here and ask Ray a question if you don't mind, real quick. He's told this before, but I think it's important to tell us. And I just touched on it in my speech last night. But Ray, just tell us about the phone call that came when you were going to be the crew chief for that '67 Outback Steakhouse car. How did that come about? I know Andy Petrie had something to do with it.
Yeah, it was. I had been at IROC, and I got to know Andy Petrie and Leo Jackson and whatnot. And at that time, Hugh Connerty, who was Jeff had met at Buck Baker Driving School, was going to start a team, and he said to Leo Jackson, or Leo asked him, I need a crew chief. And he said, "Who are you going to get?" He said, "Well, I got this guy. I would choose this guy Ray Evernham," and nobody heard of me. And so they had Andy Petrie call me and say, "Hey, we got this kid. You're going to run him in a couple races." And I had just been watching him on the Thursday Night Thunder, I think it was, and he makes this. They still use it in highlights. He's driving a midget, and he's trying to pass this guy and can't get by him, so he just drives right up on two wheels over the guy and goes on and I was like, yeah, that's the kind of guy I want to work with. So he came down here.
Unfortunately, you got to experience me on two wheels at Sonoma our first week. Time racing a road course.
Mr. Hendrick, how difficult was it to corral these two? Because they're young guys, and to take a chance on both of these guys, was that a difficult thing to try to harness all of that young energy?
Really, it was fairly easy because I had so much confidence in what I saw with Jeff. And when I talked to Ray, Ray had a plan, and it was different than any crew chief I'd ever talked to. He had an organizational chart with the kind of people he wanted on the team. And I basically said, there's the building. We'll build the cars, and we'll build the engines, and you put it together. And I came into motorsports one day, and when I first started, the guys that worked in the shop changed tires. They were the pit crew. And there's a bunch of guys running through the field. And I thought, I don't know what in the world's going on out here with these guys running through the field. And it was Ray trying out pit crew members. And I thought, man, this is different, you know. But I think Jeff's talent, and I'll say something else. You fans, the Jeff Gordon fans, the Ray Evernham fans, you're the most loyal. I see you at races now that he's not driving, and you all tell me, I sure miss Jeff Gordon. And I think you're special, and we appreciate it. I appreciate it. I know he and Ray do, but Ray revolutionized racing. I mean, he was so far ahead of everyone's time, and you take that talent, again, with the greatest driver in the world, and I mean, the rule book had to change every week to stop him. But I was very blessed to meet these two guys.
Was there ever a time where either one of you guys said, shave that mustache? Here and there.
I didn't think it was a mustache. Probably Barney's mother's house.
Now see, if you go back to the time, and he's right, it wasn't much of a mustache. But I mean, Ernie Irvin, Dale Earnhardt, Dale Jarrett, I mean, guys had mustaches back then, so.
They didn't have a squeaky voice.
Go ahead.
Sorry I came in.
Rick, this is how I know he loves me. If we stay here long enough, between Ray and myself, he will definitely, throw some things out there in our past that will definitely make us crawl out the door.
So how did you get this kid with the squeaky voice to go in front of these sponsors here and say, this is the guy right here?
You know, early on, it was amazing. DuPont, they were associate sponsors. And they said, and I asked them about sponsoring Jeff, and they really didn't know anything about Jeff. And they took a chance just on our relationship. And they said, why can't we be the primary? And I thought, yeah, sure. But Jeff developed so quick. I mean, both, and the talent was always there. Ray and I talked about it. The first time he sat down in a Cup car was in Charlotte. And I think within the eight laps, he was the fastest car out there. Never had been in a car before. And so we knew, okay, we got really something special. But then he developed so fast in handling himself. And he's got almost a photographic memory, because he can read a cue card and then walk out on the stage for General Motors and hit every point. I can study it for 3 days and try to read it, and I can't do it. But no, he developed in such a hurry to be able to host a TV show live. I mean, that said it all. But the sponsors loved him because he always wanted to over-deliver for them, just like he has you fans. I mean, Jeff Gordon's always I never asked him to do anything that he wouldn't do. And so we've never had a disagreement till the day.
Ray, as the crew chief and obviously a Hall of Famer that you are, you're responsible for the race car, the team itself. We just got a little taste of what it was like as the crew chief with Jeff Gordon. How many times did you have to become the big brother or the mean brother or the psychologist on the radio?
Oh, wow.
You mean the liar? The lie to me.
Now, wouldn't you say,
You got me all mad.
You know, I like that role when you say big brother, and we talked about this. You know, Jeff has been, you know, brother, son, friend, everything to me, and we honestly had this chemistry that we trusted in one another. Sometimes I did have to fib to him a little bit, like, yeah, you're catching the guy, or you're doing this, and you know, pump him up. But again, it was pretty easy when you have who I think is the greatest driver, the greatest stock car driver. If you're driving your car, all you got to do is not screw up, you know. And that's what I had to do. And I had a great group of guys. I always tell everybody, look, I had the best driver, had the best owner and the best equipment, the best pit crew. You know, if I couldn't have won races with the Rainbow Warriors, I didn't need to be doing what I was doing. And you know, we talk about Mr. H, and Mr. H gives us anything we want. And he would really never call us to the carpet about much. But we always knew, you know, if you got called to the office to talk, you know, he'd ask things. But if the conversation, I don't know if Christian's here or not, but if the conversation started with the hands like this, help me understand. You knew you were about to get a agreement, so I'm lucky I didn't get too many of them, but stepped out of line a few times and got a few of those. Raymond, help me understand.
And if it starts with Raymond.
The day that he MF'd me on the radio.
He swears I did, but I didn't. He almost fired me, and I had no idea what was going on. Well, you know, we're out there Rockingham, and somebody had gotten on our radio, sitting on the radio or whatever. We're trying to pit. I'm ticked, and your cars are going around, and I might have used those words, MF. That was because you know, I'm a pretty big guy, but you know, I did say things like that. But you know, he thought that I said it to him. So we're going to win the race, and you know, everybody's happy. He's in victory lane. And he's waiting now. We're the last, you know, we're loaded. His race is still there, and he's waiting. So we load up and go walk away, and he's. I walk over there and goes, let me tell you something. If you ever, well, I was like, I didn't call you that. That was I always made sure I spoke very clearly, very slowly after that. When Mr. H had his radio on. So he always tells me, you called me in. So, no, I actually didn't.
Not on the radio. There's another time.
I can remember when the guy from the pastor from the MRO has to come into our pits and talk to both of us about language on the radio.
Jeff, did you ever get called into the carpet? Or?
Not with Rick. No, with Rick. I was late. We were just talking about this the other day. So at Charlotte, you know, this is before like iPhones and alarm clocks on your iPhone. And don't ask me what I did wrong, but it was irresponsible either way. But I did not get the alarm to go off at the right time for practice one weekend in Charlotte. And my wake-up call was my phone ringing, and it was my PR person asking me if I was planning to come for practice that day. And I said, well, yeah, why? And they said, well, it starts in 5 minutes. And I was, you know, at least 30 minutes away where my house was. And I can tell you, I made it from my house to Charlotte Motor Speedway in a time that no one will ever top. And I don't condone this. Nobody should ever do this. There was, you know, some very close moments to death, but I was going to be there. But so I finally get there. What year was this, Ray?
98.
98. Oh, well, that was a great year, so it's okay. But so I get to the track, and Ray, you know, pretty upset with me, decided to ask my teammate Terry Labonte if he'd go shake down the car. And so Terry's like, of course, sure. So he goes out and shakes it, and how many laps into the run? Yeah, 2 laps into the run, cuts a right front tire, hits the wall. Okay. So I come into the garage area already embarrassed, out of breath of the drive I just made, and then walk into my car's torn up and going, oh, this just got a lot worse. and a little bit of disbelief, and of course, then I couldn't even go face Ray. There was no way that was going to happen. And somebody said, oh yeah, they put Terry Labonte in to shake it down, and he blew a right front tire and hit the wall. I was like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. So I honestly, Ray, as mad as he was that day, I don't think we spoke. And back then they had a practice in the morning on Saturday, and then they run the Busch Grand National race, and then you ran in the afternoon afterwards. And I didn't say one single word. I just got ready for that practice probably like an hour and a half before it ever started. And I got in that car, and I drove this thing as hard and as fast as I possibly knew. I was completely tongue hanging out sideways because I was going to be at the top of the board, be the fastest car in that practice. And luckily we were, and we went on to win the race.
When there's practice on Saturday, I'll talk to Ray and he'll tell me how the cars are running. And there's a name he gives Jeff if he has to practice any time around 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you know what? Hold on, let me practice
And
this.
that name is Frank Shaft.
So true, it was. I was scrapping if I got in a fight. I was crankshaft if it was early in the morning, or if I was complaining on the radio.
You were the money man when the time came. So, Frank Shaft in the morning was not a good guy. We knew we were just going to change a lot of parts and do a lot of stuff. But,
And then change it all back.
Yeah, change it all back. We started practice with it. But then when it came time after that last pit stop, the radio would get quiet and the money man would show up, and you knew that we were going to be carrying home some hardware.
The trust that you guys have amongst each other. Jeff, I got to ask you, did you want to know some of the setups that Ray had underneath the race car? And Ray, conversely, did you tell him everything that he was about to climb aboard?
Certainly not the beginning. I came from open wheel midget sprint cars. I mean, you know, I could lay all the parts and pieces down on the floor of that car right here. You know, there's just not a lot to them. And so my dad, you know, taught me how to work on those cars, and I knew those cars pretty well. But when I came over to NASCAR, you know, at 18, 19 years old, I looked at that car and I said, I don't have a clue of all this stuff that goes into this car. And I just focused on my driving. And luckily I was surrounded by people like Ray and Rick to provide the resources that, you know, I just needed to get in there and drive. Over time, I certainly had to learn because, you know, you need to know when they're making changes exactly what area the car is going to affect or what you're trying, you know, to get it to affect. And then later in my career, I mean, with all the technology and data, you start just comparing yourself to other drivers or looking at specific areas on the track. But no, for the most part, I was just put whatever you think is the right thing in there, and I'll tell you whether it's better or worse.
Except for the track bar. You could not touch it. Do not touch the track bar.
I think one of the few disagreements that Ray and I had was about, and one in particular, Darlington, I remember. Darlington, I was real sensitive about that track bar. And back then, you know, you didn't have an electric motor to run the thing up and down. But so you had to make that on a pit stop, like we're going to see actually this year. And whatever way it went, you know, you were stuck with it. And I never wanted that thing to come up. I always wanted it to either stay where it was or go down. But it was a good tool. And so Ray's like, we're going to raise that track bar up. Or maybe he didn't even tell me, he just raised it. And then afterwards, you know, I'm saying, what'd you do to the car? I'm loose. He's like, well, we'll raise the track bar. I told you not to raise it.
I'm sure it went just that way on the radio, too.
with maybe an MF in there.
And then a trip over to the MRL after.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for coming in. Before you guys step away, we've got a lifetime membership award and plaque to present. Oh, here we go. Right here. And to do that presentation, Charlotte and Brooke Simpson from California, Maryland. Welcome. Well, present it. Here it is. Let's get the photos made. The lifetime membership to the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Obviously, the plaque symbolizes the connection and the bond between the inductees and all of us, the race fans.
Well, listen, this lady right here, I've known her for years and years and years. I see her at all kinds of events, at the track, autograph sessions. So I think this is only fitting to come from you. So thank you so much, and thank you very much, too. Yeah, this is fantastic.
Thank you. By the way, if you want to become a member of the NASCAR Hall of Fame, find anybody in the staff here. They'll be glad to point you in the direction that you need to go. We'd love to have you be a member here of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. How about another round of applause for Hall of Famers Ray Evernham, Rick Hendrick, and Jeff Gordon. Coming up in just a couple of moments will be